Hello, it's Sarah Stowe here. Welcome to the show. It is episode 63 of season 2 of the Launch Your Biz Now podcast, the podcast for all new and aspiring business owners. And today on the show, I'm going to be talking about something which I honestly can't believe that I haven't talked about on the show yet with you guys. And I guess I don't know why I haven't talked about it because it's such an important thing. And in this last week, so the doors are open at the moment for people to join the Biz Builder course, which is my course to help people set up a business. So this is a 6-week launch intensive. I will put the details in the show notes for you to check out. Doors close Friday at midnight on the 3rd of February, and the course starts Monday on the 6th of February. So lots of talk at the moment, and I've been talking to people that are looking at joining the course or joining the course. And, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is around the business idea and coming up with a great business idea. And I feel like I've done a heap of episodes on that. So you guys should be pretty comfortable on different ways to, make sure your idea is good, come up with different ideas, what works for you, all that sort of stuff. Something really important I haven't done an episode on, which I absolutely should and need to, is starting your business as a side hustle. A lot of the time, what I'm talking about is the end goal, when you couldn't quit your 9 to 5 and you're living this beautiful life and you've got this lifestyle business, and that's all good and well. But that's not something that happens at the start when you're starting a business. At the start, it's a bit of hustle. You've got to build it up. You've got to put all the systems and the processes in place and create this business and get reliable income and all these sorts of things, which is really, really hard to do when you're going all in, especially if maybe you don't have a lot of money behind you or you've got a lot of responsibilities or whatever it might be. So I wanted to talk about today how you can start a business and have it as a side hustle and how this can be such an awesome approach to doing it. Another thing I'm going to do is these are a couple of bonus episodes that are coming out on the podcast to celebrate the launch week for the Biz Builder course. So I'm going to do this episode that's coming out today on Thursday on starting your business as a side hustle. And then tomorrow for Friday, I'm going to do another bonus episode, which I've been talking to people about. And we had a lot of students in the last round of the course, which is starting your business while on maternity leave. And I'll do an episode on how that can look and how that can work for you. So let's dive in. So starting your business as a side hustle. Why would you want to do it? Why does it work? Why is it a good idea? Why might you consider it for yourself? So there's so many different reasons, and you might do it as a side hustle. You might go all in, but doing it as a side hustle is a really nice way to take away some of that risk that you have when you're starting a business. It is risky. It is up and down. It might take 1 year, it might take 2 years, it might take 5 years for you to start getting reliable income from your business that you can rely on. So it's really hard to go, I'm going to start a business. I'm just going to dive in and I'm putting my all into it and just hope this thing works and not having a safety net. So I think that's one of the key things that we need to look at it as is we've got a safety net when we've got a job. We're not relying on the income of the business. So we're allowing the business to be built up and establishing itself, and you can reinvest the money and it's not feast or famine. You're not needing to make a sale to feed your family, which is not a great space to be in. It's not a great space to sell from because I think you can sort of pick up on those vibes. And it's also not great for your mental health when you know that you need to make a sale to be able to feed your family, to keep a roof over your head or anything like that. We don't want to add that extra pressure onto you whilst you're also going through the pressure of setting up a new business and, all of the changes and all of the awesomeness that involves, but it is a lot. So, I think one of the huge key benefits is having this safety net. So that is awesome. So that's one thing. Maybe if you're a little bit more risk averse, you might want that safety net. Maybe if you don't have a fair bit of money behind you, you might want that safety net. And honestly, if it is a new idea and something that you're just doing for the first time, it's good to be able to test it out and see whether it works and see whether you get momentum with it before you go all in on it. So it's nice to be able to have that flexibility to do that. And you can sort of set it up slowly in the back end and get it going. So, and as you might know from listening to the pod or reading some of the stuff I've put out, I think it takes an hour a day to set up a business. So If you are working full time, like I get it, we're busy, maybe you have kids and you're working full time, it's a lot. If we could come up with an hour a day, be that you might be getting up an hour earlier in the morning, if that's what works for you. Maybe on your lunch break, you're doing some work for your new business rather than just sitting there enjoying doing nothing and scrolling on Facebook. Maybe it's making that time work for you. Maybe it's once the kids go to bed or nighttime after you have dinner. Maybe that's when you're spending an hour doing it up. But if you can do that and guarantee yourself for that for 6 weeks, then you can set it up, get everything in place, do it nice and slowly, and build that business that's going to work for you and build it in your spare time. So it doesn't need to be this huge Goliath straight away. You can build up and build up and build up slowly to get to the point that you get to a lifestyle business and you can, have that freedom and flexibility to potentially leave that safety net of a job if that's what you want to do. Some people might also like to just keep the job and have a side hustle. Maybe it's just something extra you want to do. Maybe you love your job. Maybe you love your job, but you're not fully fulfilled and you need something else to do for you. I can completely understand that. That's how I felt when I was at Hardee's. I just needed something else for me to do. So I can relate to that. Um, the other thing is, at the moment, not so much in Australia, but I suppose it is starting in Australia, but definitely if you're listening to anything from the US, there's a lot of talk at the moment about this, economic downturn and economic uncertainty. We don't know what's happening in the world. Inflation's at a huge high, interest rates are huge. People are paying, huge amounts on their mortgages right now. The cost of food and cost of living's going up. Like there's all of these things. So people might be going, well, is it time for me to start a business when there's all this economic uncertainty going on in the world? I completely get that too. And I get why that to give you that certainty, maybe you might keep your day job. The other good thing and thing to look at it as well is by having the business, you're sort of protecting yourself a little bit because with all this uncertainty going on in the world, there's a lot of redundancies that are happening. There's a lot of people that are feeling the pinch, especially bigger corporations. And by having, your side hustle, if something did happen and you were to be made redundant or something along those lines, or your work was cut back or whatever that might look like, by having a side hustle, you've got a second income stream. You're not wholly and solely reliable on your main job. That's pretty awesome. The other thing is, you control that. You're the one controlling your business. So you can control whether you've got income coming in, like whereas your job, you might not have that control if you get made redundant and you haven't planned for it. So that could be another thing. Another reason that you might look at setting up a business as a side hustle is maybe you're the breadwinner. Maybe you've got the highest income in your family, you and your partner, or maybe you're a solo mum like me. Or maybe you're just single and you've got to pay all your bills and you've got no one else to rely on. Like there's all of these things that could stop you from wanting to go all in because the what ifs, there's no one there to back you up. There's no security to back you up if your business isn't able to bring in income for that week or fortnight or month or whatever it might be. So in those situations, absolutely use it. Have your side hustle. Have that security of that full-time job or that part-time job or that regular job or whatever it is. So you've got some money coming in there and build your side hustle. Hey, maybe it's something that you just do for you. So for you, it might not even be about the money. It might be just having something extra to focus on. And that's why you have a side hustle. I can understand that too. It all is legitimate. So another couple of questions I've had is, what if my work can't know? And I get this. So, I guess the hardest way is if you're going out and you're setting up a competitive business as where you're working now, this is probably an issue, probably something you don't want to do. You don't want to start in your business journey with that negative connotation with one of your future competitors and start with bad blood. So, maybe if that's a situation where you're setting up a business in the same industry that you're in now, maybe you have to bite the bullet. So, or maybe your licensing doesn't allow you to. So this for me was when I wanted to set up my financial planning business that I have since sold. I couldn't, under my license, do it as a side hustle and do it as an employee because you need to be licensed. So for me, legally, I needed to go all in. And that's okay. But the thing is, you prepare for that a little bit differently. If you're going all in, then you need to make sure that you've got cash reserves or you get a loan to help with the startup costs and the, ebbs and flows of the startup journey. So that's something to consider. Um, or the other thing, if it's in an unrelated field, you can say to them, this is just literally a side hustle, or don't say anything at all. Like, I don't know. Sometimes my approach is ask for forgiveness rather than permission. I think that works well. You just go out and do it, and it might not be as bad. Whereas if you ask them straight off the bat and say, hey, I'm thinking of setting up this business, they're going to be like, oh God, it's going to take away their time, going to not be their priority. Whereas if you're doing it already and you can prove that you're still showing up for work and doing everything that you need to do on the work front and you're still really engaged there, that it's actually not going to affect them. So sometimes I think that's approach is a nice way to go about it too. I guess the thing is, if they do find out and they're not happy about it, then you can make the decision. You've got the business off the ground and you know what it's looking like, and you can either decide then, actually, okay, no, I'm not going to go all in on this, or yes, okay, well, if you're not happy with me doing this on the side, then I am going to quit and go all in on this. And that's the choice you can make. So yeah, if it's not competing industries or not competing businesses, I think it's completely okay. I don't think a business should be able to dictate what you do in your spare time. So that's my thoughts on it. Everybody has different thoughts. That is mine. So that's that in a nutshell. Then one of the big questions I get asked from people is, okay, well, if I'm setting this up as a side hustle to start with, but my end intention is to go all in and leave my 9 to 5, how do I know when I should do that? So I've got a couple of rules that I'd sort of put around it to give you a bit of security. So I guess the longest you can, if you are going to do the side hustle, the longest you can hold out, the better it is, because you can build it up in both sides. You might get to the point though that you need to put more time into your side hustle to take it to the next level. So that's something you're going to have to weigh up. But two of the key metrics that I sort of look at and think about when setting up a business as a side hustle and when you should take the leap into doing it full time would be this. So the first one would be, I'd want to make sure that you've got at least 3 months worth of money sitting in your bank to cover expenses for your business and for you personally. So that's your bit of a safety net. So if you've got that cash buffer sitting there, if something goes wrong, if you have a down month, whatever it might be, you've got a bit of emergency funds. So at least 3 months. If you could get 6 months, even better. That's awesome. The next thing that I would look at is making sure you've got reliable ongoing income that covers your expenses. So this might not be guaranteed income unless you've got a subscription or a membership or something like that built into your business. But it might be one-off income, but you can see a trend. So when you look back over your business for the last, 3, 6, 12 months, the longer, data or the more data that you've got to look back on, the better. If you can see that, yes, okay, based on, the average that I'm getting or whatever that might be, I'm going to be at least able to cover the expenses, at least the expenses. You want to be able to, keep that happening. And that's your personal and business expenses that you want to cover there. So because we've only got 3 months, unless you've got a whole lot of cash buffer sitting there, then maybe you might not have it turning over. But they would be the two things I'd look at. I'd make sure I'd got a cash reserve sitting there for emergencies and to hold things up if there's bad times. I would also make sure my ongoing income is going to be realistic. Like, if you need $50,000 to cover your business expenses and another $50,000 to cover your personal expenses, then before you go all in on this, you probably need to make sure your business is turning over at least $100,000 a year, and that's looking pretty consistent. So that would be it for me, guys. I think setting up your business as a side hustle is an absolutely awesome idea to do. 100% recommend doing this. I think it's great for you to have an extra project, and it's something to put your mind to, and it's honestly something you can chip away at. And it's nice being able to chip away, because then you don't have that pressure on you that you have to get a new business to be performing really well, really fast. So, if this is you and you're thinking of setting your business up as a side hustle, or if you're tossing up whether this is something you want to dive into completely, you don't need to dive in completely at this point. You can just set it up, see how it goes, and build on it from there. So that's it for me, guys. That's a nice little bonus extra for you, extra episode for you. If you've got any questions about the Biz Builder course, please let me know. I am so excited for this next intake. I Love seeing these businesses get set up and come off the ground. It's just awesome. It is so special. So I'm hoping to see you there with me in the next round, guys. Have a wonderful day. I'll chat to you soon.